Well, hello everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Simon, and I had the honor of going to the Ananda School from kindergarten all the way through high school, and I graduated in 2007. But since I grew up here, I was thinking, how exactly do I differentiate the influence of the school from just the surrounding culture? Because my parents have lived here for my whole life, so really from since I was born all the way through being 18 years old. Ananda was pretty much my entire life. There are 3 or 4 different things that really stand out to me as being influential that come directly from the school and how I develop. The first one that I want to talk about is the service projects that we do in the school. Now, I'm not sure what everybody else's teenage years were like, but I remember particularly in probably the 12 to 14-year-old range, I was kind of angsty. Woe is me. The world just doesn't understand me. My life is horrible. I mean, at this point, I'm not really sure what I was complaining about. But then, apparently, it was a much bigger deal. However, what we did with these service projects, if you're not familiar with it, is each week we'd go into the Nevada City, Grass Valley area. Nitai would drop us off at these different service-oriented institutions. Some kids would volunteer at the food bank, some would volunteer at the library, others would go to nursing homes and retirement homes, and I got to spend a lot of time working in a classroom for mentally challenged. When I first started doing these projects, I must say I wasn't particularly interested in them. There was just something that was part of the school, it was something that you had to do. But in retrospect, it was really interesting because for a few hours every week, I had to let go of that woe is me, I live with a loving family in a beautiful location area, and sort of expand my perception to understand the realities that other people have to face. And it was often very humbling to think about that, just because you're working with these people who have severe mental challenges or have horrible home lives. So it was a real learning experience in that it really broadened my perspectives, but I think the best part about it was the growing process throughout the entire high school years. When I first started doing it, I didn't really want to, but towards the end of high school, 16, 17, 18, I actively looked forward to this. This was one of the best parts of the week. And I have some memories from these service projects that I think will stick with me for the rest of my life. Like I remember teaching this one child with very severe Down syndrome how to play basketball, and he would just light up whenever he made a shot, and it was absolutely amazing. Or working with this other child, Francis, and helping him learn how to tell time. And this was a very long, arduous process. I think it took about 6 weeks before it finally clicked, and each week we'd spend about an hour trying to, this can be fairly monotonous, but trying to keep it entertaining, come up with new ways to, hold his interest. And when he finally got it, there was this aha moment, and suddenly he could tell time. And I think that was one of the most rewarding experiences, actually, of my entire high school career. So thinking back on that, I didn't realize all the benefits from it initially, but in retrospect, it really just helped me expand and grow as a person. Now, the next aspect of the school that I think doesn't fit with most normal schools and was also incredibly beneficial was the dorm experience and the travel that we did. What we had to do is, even the people who were living in the community like myself, is we spent half the week at the dorms, which, once again, if you're being an angsty teenager, sometimes it's good to spend a couple days away from home. But what it really did is it gave me a sampling of independence before I actually had to move away that I think in retrospect really helped ease the transition from high school to college. The travel that we always did, I don't know any other high schoolers who can claim that, yeah, I went to northern India and got to meet the Dalai Lama when I was 16. I think that's a pretty rare experience. What the travel really did was it gave me a desire to travel more, to learn and see new places, to sort of step outside of some of the comfort zone that we all develop. And while meeting the Dalai Lama in northern India in Dharamsala was probably I would say, the pinnacle of the travel experiences that we got to experience during high school. There was plenty of other very interesting times. We got to go whitewater rafting in Costa Rica. All of these life experiences that nobody else gets to experience until much later in life. It gave us a bit of a jump start on those. And I think the last thing, but probably the most important overall that the school did, it was also the most mundane, is that it's the teaching to the students, not to the class average. And I didn't really appreciate this until after I actually got to college, that I was having trouble with math. But what we always did is we'd sort of go to the point where you're comfortable and then challenge you a little bit, but not push you too hard. At the same time, if you've already got it, you don't need to sit in a classroom for another 3 weeks just hearing the same thing while somebody else who hasn't gotten it yet is brought up to speed. So essentially what this did is, besides it teaching me to, really learn to love learning, also what it did is it helped me manage my time and always learn how to challenge myself, which became very beneficial once I got to college. And when I got to college, I got to do this whole compare and contrast between myself and other freshmen. And I made friends with some people who were very, very intelligent people. But since they were so smart and had come from a background where they were never actually challenged, they always just got it on the first lecture and then just had to sit around while everybody else was learning it. It was actually a very serious disservice to them because they struggled a lot once they got to college, and that didn't actually work for them anymore. So I'm going to keep this brief, but I think in retrospect, once again, I didn't realize a lot of this, and I'm still sort of realizing the impact that the high school and junior high really had on me and who I developed into as a person. And this is 5 years after the fact, but it gave me a really good grounding to sort of base who I become on. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss. Thank you very much.